Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, strategies, and insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Ryan of Seafoam Media. How's it going, Ryan?
Great, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being on. And Ryan, I'd love to just start by learning a little bit more about your background and a little bit more about Seafoam Media.
Yeah, for sure. My personal background is almost exclusively in the digital marketing space at agencies, holding a lot of different positions from soup to nuts. I think my entry level position was digital marketing assistant, going through and doing backlink disavow files and that manual entry, local SEO kind of stuff. And this obviously was back when SEO was a little bit different of a ball game back then,
Right.
2013, 14. But worked my way through the ranks there at a specific agency and kind of worked through digital marketing strategist positions and then through the rollout of media and how video really started to take hold there in 2015, 16. Started a media department. And then from there have made my way over to Seafoam, where we're a little bit of a different business model in terms of our target demographic, who we do our work for and why. But yeah, been doing it for quite some time.
Yeah.
I like to say that the digital space ages in dog years, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for about 10 years, but feels like 30.
So you said you guys have an interesting demographic. Could you share a little bit about what types of customers you guys typically work with?
Yeah, for sure. So we work with a lot of we're not like pigeonholed in any one industry. We work with the financial sector, the healthcare industry. We work with home services, legal, e-commerce, retail. So we really do run the gamut. And there's a little bit of work that we could do for everybody, so to speak. But where we're a little bit different is in how we approach business, is that everything that we do is through the lens of scalability and foundations and setting proper foundations. So whether you're like a startup company who's scaffolding everything that you need to be successful online and going to market, or if you're a larger enterprise level company who's been around for 50 years and your brand is enigmatic, there's a kind of maybe we should rethink some of this stuff or reimagine what we're doing in the digital space. We help out that spectrum of folks. So whether you're new to the business or new to the space or been around for quite some time, brand work is always necessary and always relevant. And so, yeah, that's where it's been a little bit different. Where I've come from in the past has been very growth oriented. And very much entrepreneurially spirited and grow, which is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. And I earned my lumps, and it was a very fast-paced environment. So that afforded me a lot of business acumen, so to speak. But where we're at Seafoam is, like I said, very foundationally framework oriented. So what we do is we like to grow, but we grow organically. And our mission is to test the bounds of good karma. Right.
Yeah.
So not to create marketing or create marketing strategies for the sake of growth, but to create marketing strategy for the sake of communication and really allowing that to resonate for our clients and their clients ultimately. So just driven by a different compass.
And I love what you said about the focus on brand, especially your view of it, because I think brand over time has become more of a priority for companies. Brand wasn't a thing for
Yeah,
like in the 1990s, early 2000s, but now you've got manufacturing companies looking at their branding. You've got B2B
totally.
businesses, like these boring industries that are really caring about their brand because it's people realizing it's so important. It can cut down your lifetime customer value, it can cut
Yeah.
down your customer acquisition costs. It's like all of these things that brand is so good for. So I love that you guys focus on that.
Yeah, it's almost not even, I'm not going to go as far as to say exclusive, but let's say 7 or 8 years ago, you might say that like SEO is a service that we provide. And really, it's not that it's not anymore. It's
Yeah.
that the name of it and its impact and how it can be accounted for within your strategies has completely shifted over the years. So to segment out SEO as a service is almost a disservice
Yeah.
because SEO has become more and more over the years to be more about being in alignment with the user experience and the value that they get from your website than it is just strictly relevance. And so I think that the user experience and how the digital space has evolved has come to be more of a rankings factor right?
Yeah.
Whereas before is like you could change the color of the font to be the same as the background color of the website, and Google would index that and go, they say doghouse a lot. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for a doghouse and these folks, it's not that anymore. It's not as
Yes.
transactional. And so what you're seeing, and I like what you said there, and it's true, these manufacturing companies, and they're realizing and they're focusing less on the short-term gain
Mm.
because that is finite, and realizing that there is an impact that their larger brand can really make on the marketplace. And so people are really realizing that if you have a sticky brand, if you
Mhm.
understand your brand and you feel your brand and you live your brand through the experience, not only the experience on the website, but when you walk in the front door, what it smells like, what it feels like, that's what people are starting to realize, is that that is, I'm going to interrupt myself here because I just had this thought because it's relevant. My CEO said this a couple of years ago, and I think it's very right, which is that we're entering a day of marketing
Mhm.
where brand is important again, right?
Right.
Not that it never was, it's
Yeah.
that it took a hiatus because everything was commoditized and everything was a race to the first page of Google and everything was about monetization and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
We are now entering an age where brand is important again,
Yeah.
where people are more interested in understanding your company, your brand, your why, building trust, knowing that this is a good investment as opposed to some fleeting thing that they can either decide to engage with or not and then quickly move on. So, because of all of that, our focus is way more on your business and your company and your brand. And brand isn't what you say your business is, it's
Right.
what other people say your business is.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to really glom onto that concept and go, have we done the DNA work? Have we
Yeah.
done enough to be
Mhm.
able to like really feel confident breathing our company's mission out there? And a lot of times, and this is why I referenced before, if you're a 50-year-old company, it doesn't matter. Nobody is impervious to the need of self-reflection. And that's where we've landed.
So, on that note, one of your passions is helping brands align their marketing with their internal culture. How do you uncover a company's true identity? And what's that impact when marketing finally matches that DNA?
Oh, gosh, that's such a great question. It's a good way to phrase it. It is, so the feeling is refreshing, right? It's like a breath of fresh air. And part of the reason why is a lot of companies who don't really fully understand their brand on an intimate level, it feels like there's a bit of guesswork, right?
Mhm.
With everything that you're doing. Is this going to resonate? Is that going to resonate? We'll change the color to this and see if it gets more engagement.
Yeah.
And while that is playing with your brand in
Mhm.
positioning, it's not pouring into understanding your brand in any really meaningful way. It's just, again, short term successes. So, what we have found is that by sitting down in a room
Mhm.
and saying, hey, we're going to go back to the drawing board here. We're going to talk about the basics of brand. What we end up finding is we get the stakeholders, the relevant stakeholders in one room, whether we're focusing on the aesthetic piece of your brand or we're focusing on the messaging, positioning, value prop, and all of that. Those are two camps. And this can either be a half day brand workshop or a full day brand workshop where we're literally going through each component of the brand with the relevant stakeholders in the room and anybody else who has a dog in the fight who might have something to say about this stuff. And what we end up finding is whether you've been in business for 20 years or 6 months, is there's usually disparate understanding who you are, why you do what you do, who you do it for, so on and so forth. So it's really interesting to get those stakeholders in a room and
Yeah.
have a transparent, honest conversation about where the hangups are, or maybe somebody verbalizes, this is why we exist. And your VP is across the table going, is it? And then all of a sudden it's, oh, here we go. And that begets like a 2 hour long conversation where we can transparently feel confident walking out of that brand workshop and subsequent work that we've done, feeling aligned. And the feeling that we look to get coming away from those brand experiences is clarity,
Mhm.
simplification, and understanding, so that your social media manager or your PR person or whoever it is knows that when they put pen to paper the next time that they go to do their job, that we don't have to wonder if this is on brand. We don't have
Right.
to wonder if this is in alignment with who we are, and focus less on how people are engaging with the brand Focus more on how honest you're being. And if you're able to do that, your demographic will realize itself.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is staying true to who you are. So it's a long way of answering your question, but it's highly intentional, very strategic conversations with the right folks,
Yeah.
and vulnerability and a willingness to open up about the business and talk about those things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that as you're growing a business, the bosses you have to fight essentially. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
when you're first growing your business, you're all worried about lead gen and then how are we going to get customers in the door? And then you start to realize, oh crap, I got to figure out. And not only do I have this outside pipeline, but I have this internal pipeline too, where I have to figure out how to hire. And then from there, then you start worrying about things like what's our internal culture, what's our brand, and those types of things.
Yeah.
It all comes in this like sequential thing, and there's this like boss to fight at the end of each level to use a
Yeah.
video game reference. And so it's really cool that you guys are helping at this level where it's like, hey, you guys have figured all of these things out. Now let us help you. Let us come in and help you figure this part out.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And that's a great way to put it, is it's sequential.
Yeah.
This is oftentimes what we find in having these conversations with these business owners is, especially if they've been around for 15, 20 years, if they're a small to medium sized business owner, is they've made their way by continuing to do the next right thing, right?
Yeah.
And the next right decision. Fast forward 10 years and you've navigated that way through selecting a CRM or selecting an ERP or selecting a CMS to build your website with, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's 10 years later and you've got this amalgamation of a series of decisions that were made by disparate people with differing North Stars guiding their way, right? And so to blow the whistle, right, and say, hey, let's not forget who we are, why we're doing this, right, is a very meaningful step to take, regardless of how old or mature you are in your marketing
Right.
or as an organization, because we all can always do better. A website's never done. A brand is never done. It just evolves and gets better and gets stronger. And because we're in the day and age that we are in marketing, like I said before, it's less transactional and people are more concerned about feeling as though they're making an informed, trusted decision. And I think that can only really be done on behalf of a company if they feel like their why is out there and resonating with folks.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very well put. Ryan, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being on. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about Seafoam Media?
Yeah, for sure. You can just go to Seafoam Media, Seafoammedia.com. It's Ryan Foizey. I have a LinkedIn profile, Foizey. And yeah, social medias, Instagram, everything follows suit. But yeah, come along for the journey. We do release like monthly marketing digests from the Seafoam perspective. So everything that I've just said and laid out there for you, if it resonated with you and you'd like to think or find out more about how our company sees the landscape of marketing, we have a bit of a nuanced perspective. And so you can head to Seafoam Media and, subscribe to the newsletter and stay up to date with us.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And definitely you guys have a very unique perspective, which was just really cool for me to hear. So Ryan, thanks again for being on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was great.